Cool. Yeah, that's great.
Sweet. Yeah, I was gonna chat about that. Yes. So yeah, from now on into perpetuity, I will record these meetings. And then, is there like a Runtime PMC Slack channel?
I think we have a Slack channel for it.
I'm just trying to think of what I should do with these recordings once I record them.
Could you link to them within each meeting note?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that would make sense.
Thank you, Josh.
Cool. Yeah, and I guess we could probably set this meeting up to auto record. So then even if you're not here.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Great. All right. Well, looks like we have a good set of updates and good set of attendees. So apart from the discussing recording these on an ongoing basis, any other topics we wanted to bring up before we dive into project specifics? Cool. Well, in that case, when we go through the sequence of project updates, Josh, I think you have some things from the CLI side.
Yeah, so as you all probably know, we GA'd V7, and we have been making some updates out there in documentation land to support the V7 CLI. And that's been an ongoing bit for the last few weeks, and we're sort of rounding the bend on that now and expect to have things tidied up probably by the end of this week, which is great. We've got some feedback around the output around build packs for CF Push and CF App that is confusing users who expect to see the build pack name and the particular value that we are outputting currently is not incorrect, but it's not doesn't provide enough information. So we've decided to just grab all the build packs information from CAPI and just spit it out in a tabular format within the output from CF Push and CF App to meet that expectation. And we're starting on the revisions track. And there's an epic here that has all of the stories associated with viewing revisions, looking at revisions details, as well as being able to roll back to previous revisions, which is exciting. And I guess the last thing that I'm personally most excited about is I'm going to start a app developer feedback group. And I'm just plugging it here, and it looks like I didn't push the change that I made where I actually linked the registration form. And but I will update after we finish this meeting. There will be a link here, and I'll also be sending out an announcement and invitation through our CF Dev list. And that's all I'm going to write.
That's
awesome.
Great.
Thanks, Josh.
I wonder, Josh, I'll probably reach out to you offline.
Okay.
I was thinking about the same for CF Kate, like a platform feedback group or something.
Yep.
So allow people to, getting a lot of questions in CF Kate's in general channel. There's a lot of like questions around just stability and all that. So it'd be a good place. Maybe we can curate that and direct all of those questions through this group, whatever group. I know this is app developer group, but there could be platform feedback group too that we can build.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yep, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Any other comments or questions for Josh on CLI stuff? If not, I think the next set of updates we have is from Garden and Irene. Mario, you had submitted these on behalf of those two teams, right?
Yes. First of all, I'm Mario Nichev. I'm from the Irene team. I'm an engineer currently, but I'm stepping in as an anchor and sort of like PM for Irene since Sarah Jules is on vacation. Yeah, I also used to be on Garden, so that's why I filled in the Garden stuff as well. For Garden, we basically shipped a version. It's a small one. It contains a bunch of bug fixes. It fixes a small bug that we found when containerd is slow to start and Garden fails. And also we added supplementary groups for non-rootless Garden. Unfortunately, we can't really do that for rootless Garden since runc doesn't permit you to do it. So yeah, then so this week we also bumped off our dependencies. We usually have a dependabot list of things that we need to bump that are old. And we did that. We also fixed a small issue in our Go mod files, which weren't set to Go 114. And that caused a inconsistent vendoring sometimes. And I think that's it for Garden. It's pretty much in maintenance mode, so we're either putting out fires in the forms of bugs or CI flakes, or doing like small chores around the backlog. For Irene, we shipped version 1.8. This also contains a few things, like being able to run tasks in an arbitrary namespace, and also being more consistent in the annotations and labels that we set for tasks and apps. And it also contains a few bug fixes that I don't really remember. So outside of the release, we've been working on creating events, like Kubernetes events, for the crashes of applications for CRD, the RP one. We've also created a webhook that injects the CF instance index into the pods of running applications. And we've created sort of the first version of our tool agnostic deployment. So that only includes the API server and the HTTP API, the controllers for the CRDs, the task and the ORP ones, and this webhook. And in the coming weeks, we plan to expand this deployment with the rest of the components that are optional, like metrics and crash events. We also plan to make those things compatible with apps and tasks running in different namespaces, in multiple ones, instead of like it was now with only one default. We are also working on completing the feature parity between the CRD API and the HTTP API. And we also plan to make a PR to CFRCate to make it work with our tool agnostic stuff. I'm not sure how much of that we'll be able to do since we are currently without a PM and it's August, it's summer. A lot of the team are going to be absent during the next 2 weeks. So, yeah. And I think that's pretty much all of my updates.
Awesome. That's great, Mario. Any questions about Garden or Irene things? So I expect that that CF instance index webhook is something we're going to want CFRCates also to pick up pretty soon, so we can support that.
Yep.
Might even be important for cats in some places.
One thing I wondered if there are any sticker vendors in Europe that SAP uses that you could refer the foundation to. I understand the foundation could pay for stickers, but shipping something from the US to Europe is quite expensive, even stickers.
I could ask around. I think that Herr Jules actually created stickers, and he's from Germany, for like just giving out during our talks in CF Summit. So I can also ask him when he's back there.
Oh yeah, we had like BitService stickers from somewhere a few years ago. So maybe we can figure out what vendor he used for that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Then you can, if you can forward that to Chris, I'm sure he can get that to the appropriate people now that we have some new logos.
Indeed.
One question I had for Mario for you is maybe it's in your backlog or in your roadmap about running one-off task, CF task, run task.
Mhm.
Like we found it. We did some investigation on ourselves. There was an issue created. We found that there needs to be some work that needs to be done with the networking team and a CAPI and Irene to make that run task work. So maybe I will forward you that issue. But I was wondering if that is something it's on your horizon anytime.
I'm pretty sure that worked. I think I'm not sure about which issue you're referring to. I think there was one where the callback to the task wasn't working, but I think
I think
that was
that's what they found. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what they're seeing is that when there are Istio sidecars on the task containers, the tasks don't actually complete because the sidecar container, like the proxy container, doesn't get shut down. And so there's some underlying issue between Istio and K8s, because I think fundamentally K8s doesn't have the concepts to express this relationship between containers very granularly. But there might be some ways we could shim around that with the CF layer insulating it. I expect that may require some discussion between the CAPI, Irene, and networking teams to figure out exactly what the right approach would be.
right. I think we found a workaround for that already, and I think that we have like this task completer thing running alongside Irene, and it tracks for changes in the pods instead of changes in the job now. So when the task container, the task container in the pods finishes, it will send the completion now. I think it's been actually more than a couple of weeks since that shipped. I can maybe find a story for you and send it to you after the meeting. But
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that this is already resolved. I'm not sure if this is the best solution. Probably not. But then again, I mean, you'd have to take it up with Jules or her Jules.
Sure, might be something we could get the integration projects to incorporate now, and then underneath refine the implementation of. Great. Well, I think we can connect on that issue outside of this meeting. Great. Anything else related to Irene? If not, see, we have some updates from Diego and networking. I think that Amin actually contributed the Diego ones, right, Josh? So since he's not on the call, maybe we don't have the right context on those. And likewise, some networking updates, but I don't see anyone there. So why don't we move on to, we've got Ben on the call. So Ben, if you had anything you wanted to add around logging or metrics developments over the past couple of weeks?
The only thing I can say is, so Jesse Weaver is out this week, so probably won't be a release this week, but we're trying to get out a release soon of CF for K8s that should include some changes. One of the most notable ones will be removing TLS from our config. There are some, we've been looking and considering performance improvements, but I don't think those are going to pan out this release. I think we're probably going to take longer to think about performance in that vein. Most of those performance improvements seem to only work as well on CF for VMs at the moment. I think those are the main things.
Great, thanks, Ben. Any logging related questions from anyone here? Also, Ben, nice job on the CF for K8s SIG call, talking about logging in general. So appreciated all of the context and background and thoughts there.
Does that dog ever move? He's been there all morning.
It's a background picture.
That's not a real dog?
It's a
Real
real
dog.
picture.
It's not
Oh,
a
it's
live
real
dog.
dog, but it's
Well,
a
it's
photograph.
It's not a live video depiction of a dog. I hope the dog is still alive.
That dog is so chill. Oh, cool. Got it. Thanks.
All right. Well, in that case, should we move on to Sai with release integration topics?
Sure. So we plan to release the next version of CFOKs. The headline feature here is the recent networking policy enforcement, network policy enforcement. So this was a good collaboration between us and the networking team to get not only the external database working, but also sort of figuring out how do we in the future make sure the components who may add a new, let's say, deployment or replica, how do then, what kind of documentation would they need to and for use the network policy. So that was like one of the other many things that we collaborated on. The other is CAPI was the last one in terms of updating their moving to secrets instead of using sensitive data in config maps. So that's all done. So that's great news. They're consuming all the secrets that we created, we being the release integration. So those are the two big features, and we're going to ship it end of this week, probably. So, all right, continuing on what we're working on right now, I think CATS is something, it's an ongoing, I think it's going to be week over week work. There are a lot of tests that are, the features don't exist yet. There are features that don't make sense in like droplets, I presume. In QACF, so we're just going through individually, checking them in. We're also working on defining what we call the set of core allowable properties. So these are the configuration that we are thinking about for 1.0, where platform engineers can configure CFOKs. And that is going to be a proposal that will be sent out to the community and then for feedback. I think I talked about GitHub projects. Wow, I made so many spelling mistakes. Jesus. Where was going? Yeah, so using GitHub projects as a way to, involve the community more and use the GitHub projects as a way for release workflows rather than some more closed, pivotal tracker, which is extremely hard for people to review. I heard some great positive feedback from SAP as on this one, a few other folks as well, for the visibility that it provides. So if you want to take a look at it, please go to CF4Kates today. Look at the project section. There's a draft sort of roadmap for the for the upcoming releases. So we're going to see how we continue to use that. And then the next thing, which is exciting, is working with SAP team on scale testing releases. So they want to be involved in testing maybe every release. And that will give us some like baseline metrics around out of the box. Okay, we support 100 pods. Okay, what kind of performance are we looking at? And what kind of throughput from the API? So something that we could use, publish that in the release notes. So pretty excited about how that will pan out.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sai. Any questions about CF4Kates or CF deployment for that matter?
It's just one suggestion, Sai, if you could link to the roadmap, maybe that CF4Kates like title there.
Yep, I will do that right now. When you say link to it, you mean in this doc, correct? Do you?
Yeah, and then ongoing in the template, I guess.
Yeah, we'll do. And I'll fix these spelling mistakes as well.
Or I don't know if you want to link to the roadmap or if you want to link to the README, and then link to the roadmap. But some wayfinding there would be cool. Yeah. Like both of these things are.
Yeah, I'll start with the direct project and then I'll add a README later. I think README would help a bit. But yeah, cool. Thank you.
Well, anything else? If not, why don't we move on to Vlad with QACF updates?
Hey, so we have a patch release 2.2.3. That one is actually out. We found a bug with log rotation, which caused logs written to files to increase in size until they become unmanageable. So we had a patch release for the 2.2 series. We have 2.4 coming out soon. It'll have a bump to CF deployment. A bunch of the multi-cluster work is done, so we might get some of that as well. We've also been working on improvements to templating, so to dry all of those up, not repeat ourselves as much, make them easier to maintain. We're also planning to move some of the subcharts to QACF. So Irene and the bits subcharts, we realized that there is a non-trivial amount of effort to try and maintain multiple Helm charts if we don't need them as separate Helm charts, like the bits one or the Irene one. If no one else is using just the Irene Helm chart or just the bits Helm chart, we're better off just using those templates inside of QACF. And that'll just save us time and effort on integration. And then we have a PR now to also run PR checks on GitHub Actions. And it's almost done. We are just, we're trying to make sure that the triggers are correct and that we don't expose any secrets to the types of PRs that we shouldn't. So if there's a PR coming in from a fork, it should be reviewed and approved before the check runs so that you don't leak secrets by accident. Luckily, there are some new GitHub features that were released this month, I think on the 3rd of August, that actually allow some of this to work. Otherwise, you couldn't do it. So yeah, I think that's about it. Maybe I missed some stuff, but that's the gist.
Thanks, Vlad. That's great. Any questions about QACF topics while we've got you here? All right. Well, any final comments or questions before we wrap up for today?
No.
Sounds good. Well, thanks everyone for attending, and have a good rest of your week. See you in a couple of weeks, I hope.
Thanks all.
Thanks,
Oh,
everyone.
it's good to see you. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.